I'm James Knappett, co-founder of Kitchen Table, and I'm a Michelin Star chef. Programme came out onto the telly, Gordon Ramsay, called Boiling Point, and it was on his obsession to become a free Michelin Star chef. And I saw a man that just sacrificed everything, and I just watched episode after episode. You had to tape it then on VHS, and I just wore this tape out. I'd never seen a man so driven for something. One year we went to Hotel Olympia, and Gordon was there, and I was a young chef, and he was doing a cooking show. He came off of the stage, and I just said to him, it just came out. I hadn't even planned it, and I was like, what does it take to come and get a job with you? And he's like, come down to the kitchen, knock on the back door, and come in and do a day's work. So I went to Burton's to buy a suit, because I thought I was going for my first real interview. So I've turned up at the back door, and they were like, well, come in and do a day's work. At the end of it, he was like, do you want the job? And I was like I want the job. And I was on adrenaline. I was like, I've met him, I'm in this kitchen, been watching this kitchen every night, like a kid from Soham, I'm even in London. And then he said to me, he goes, next time you come here, don't wear a fucking suit. Chefs don't wear fucking suits. So devastated. I didn't even want to buy a suit, I'd just been and brought a suit. Just surreal, and sort of like the energy going back to King's Cross in the taxi of oh my God, I've got a job with Gordon Ramsay. And that was it. That was day one of just changed absolutely everything right there in that day. Joined Gordon's team, and I was just way out of my league from day one. So going into the kitchen, extremely long hours. We would start work at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be there at 1, 2 o'clock the next day. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about food. I knew nothing about cooking. And it wasn't just the learning of the cooking. It was I'd never worked properly yet anyway. I was still 17 when I went there. And the hours that it took to go in that kitchen 5 days in a row was just so mentally challenging. And I had a big burden on my own shoulders of always wanting to go home. I did not like London. I didn't like living in London, and then that job, it was so intense. I knew how special the kitchen was. I was learning so much every day, but I was so tired. I was exhausted, mentally challenged by myself, my own thoughts. But I was determined not to quit, and I just knew how good this kitchen was. And Gordon was so good to me. He gave me so much of his time. He proper mentored me in that time. I gave it 6 months, and I just couldn't do it anymore, and I quit. So I left London. I went back to where I was from. And when I got back, I was like, what have I done? I just can't believe I did this. And I knew my biggest burden was the comfort blanket of home. I love the country, I love the countryside, I love my friends, my family. And I knew that was always going to stop me from doing anything. So my uncle, who was also a chef, he's like, I've had enough of this, you're getting out. I was a huge fan of Rick's Stein down in Cornwall, the seafood restaurant in Padstow. So I went down to Rick's, asked for a job. 3 years later, I was still there. And I realised the work was very serious. We worked incredibly hard. The food was incredible. The amount of covers we did was insane. But we also had a life. But I knew my learning was slowing down rapidly. It was still in my mind of London. So I decided to make the phone call, and I made the phone call after a long time, and I said, I really messed up. I know I messed up. I want a second chance. And I got my second chance, and I returned to London to work with Gordon again. Day 2, it was 4 years ago, hated it, wanted to leave. It's what have I done? Massive mistake. And this time I was like, you're going to go through this, and it don't matter how long you hate it, you're never going to quit. And I got to about a year, and when we'd done a year, we were given a chef's jacket. And it was a Braggart chef's jacket, so it's the same jackets that I wear now. And before then, I wore these 10, 15 pound chef's jackets with these metal buttons that burnt you all day, and you'd get these rashes from there. It was just so cheap. But in my head at that point, even paying for 100 quid for a chef's jacket back then, I was like, what a waste of money. I'm not spending my money on that. But stupid to me, I was wearing this thing 18, 19 hours a day, this jacket, but I'd go home and buy a 50 quid t-shirt that I wore for about 3 hours on a day off. And when this jacket was given to me, it was another milestone in my career of This is investing in your career. And you worked better in it, you was more comfortable in it, you were one of the team in it, everyone wore this jacket, and my passion and my dedication to my career just grew and grew and grew. So I think the grit in me and the passion to be this driven and to sacrifice so much still, it really does come from the chefs above me. You know, it was nothing but excellence, drive, and the motivation to be the best that we could be every single day, and to push ourselves to be nothing less than that. Whether you're a boxer or you know, you're playing for Arsenal, or a young guy in the Premier League, but you know, are you playing for a team in the bottom of the league and you want to play for the guy in the top of the league? Like, how do you get there? You know, there's very few people that have such a gifted talent that they have something that they haven't worked incredibly hard for. So even the mega stars of football, where we see that it looks easy to us of what they do, behind the scenes they still train so hard. If you're going to be a chef, go out to more restaurants, you know, learn more, buy cookbooks, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Never being afraid to step out your comfort zone. Setting yourself challenges, setting yourself time frames, setting yourselves ambitions, and then why do I still do it? Why is it in me? Like, I'm not done. There's, you know, I don't want to be an average restaurant. I don't want to be an okay restaurant. And I know my journey to achieve that third Michelin star is as strong as the day I started cooking. If you don't have that mentality that you had back then, you wouldn't have a successful business. No one gives you these restaurants, no one gives you these accolades. We're not born great chefs, or we're not born with great ideas without you going after it, working a lot, a hell of a lot.